Hi everybody. In this video, I will continue with Redux form. So Redux form here means that you can validate your input value, and we have the flow here. Redux form mean Redux, and we also have the ISON creator inside this, and the dispatch, store, and state will be done by Redux form. To set the state to your input parameter, you can input parameter to dispatch action, and this action will be performed. Then it will throw the result as a validation. So we start with a blank Reactnative application, and here is my version. We have the version of Reactnative 0.51, and inside this I can install Redux. Firstly, you can install and link Redux or package to your project. So we can also add React Redux package to your application, and we also have Redux form. You install and link it to your application. So after that, we can check the package.json to see the version of Reactnative, version of React Redux, and Redux form. Here is this version which is used in my application. Okay, now start with my project. So inside the project, we can comment out this app and create a new file to save store. Store means that it is a global object to manage the state of your application, and you can create a store inside a separate file, store.js. So it is very simple because I have talked about Redux before in the previous lesson, and here you can create. It's very simple by import create store and create reducer to combine many reducer here. So we have the reducer for Redux form. So it is a form reducer, and after that you can create the store depending on the reducer, and return the store object. So any other file can access this. So in the index.js, I import the store object from here, and you import provider. So the provider will be out, or will be out and combine the inside container. Then the app here is a React Native component. It will be out by surrounded by a provider, and we create a component for folder or directory to save the component of your application. So we have a contact form. Contact form is a container. So I will create this for you to see. From contact component, I will create the contact form as a container. So import field. Field is very important in Redux form. It will contain the text and the text input, and this is an arrow function defined as a component. So you can return it with the JSX, and this is another form of React Native component. You can use the zero function, or you can use a class. Then inside this we have the label. The label means that is so about the information of the input value. The next is text input. So the text input here will be inside the field, or inside the render field. Then I define it separately, so you can use it in another component of your application. And So there are two way of defining. We have here a contact component, and we also have this is a contact component. Inside the contact component we have multiple field, and there are two way, but the two way here are the same. Contact component as function, and a contact component defined as a class form. So firstly we have a text component, and below the text component we have field. So field here means that username and text input, or label and text input. The name of the field is very important. It is distinguished between any field in your app or in your form. So we have here with email address, label, and component point to the render field, and the name is email. Remember that email name, and the first is username. So we also have a touchable opacity button, and this button will have the background, and we have the submit text, and after clicking this, it will call the handler submit or the props of the component. So it is a container. Why? It will translate between the component, the React Native component, to the container using the function Redux form. So the form name must be unique, or it is distinguished with any other form in your application. So let's use it as unique, and the form name must be a string. So the handler submit is a props of the contact component. Yes, and you can the handler submit will be called when the validation is when the validation is successful, or if it is fail, the handler submit cannot be called. So in the index.js, we import the contact form we have just defined, and we add the contact form inside the provider. So the provider has a property of store. So the handler submit will point to a function. For simply, I can define a function to here. This function has the input parameter values. Value mean contain any input parameter you have just typed as input parameters. So it will show the alert, the detail object of values. So in this case, the value here is blank because you do not do not have any validation. So now you can continue to call the simulator, and after click to this, it is successful. Why? Because the validation has just not been defined. So it is the basic flow of Redux form, and I added the Redux form flow to an existing React Native app. And in the next lesson, I will show you detail about validation, and it is my lesson today. Thank you very much for watching. Please subscribe to my channel or download code in GitHub here for detail.